Thank you, Acting Deputy President. I rise to speak on the Treasury Laws Amendment supporting choice in superannuation and other measures bill. There is nothing particularly offensive about the bill. This is a multi-schedule Treasury bill covering a range of unrelated measures for those who are tuning in and watching Senate time at 6:40 on a Wednesday night. Some elements of the bill are sensible and deserve support. For example, the streamlining the process for employees to choose their superannuation fund during their onboarding process, and that's clearly a practical reform that could reduce confusion and unnecessary paperwork. And it also gives workers a clearer control over where their super goes, and I think that's a very important element. However, the bill also contains provisions that raise serious concerns about transparency and the priorities of the government. One schedule in particular that I would like to draw the attention of the chamber to is providing tax exemption for World Rugby and its wholly owned subsidiaries. This includes income tax and withholding tax exemptions linked to upcoming international events. Now, at a time when Australians are facing a cost of living crisis, many people would reasonably ask the question, why is the Parliament being asked to prioritise tax concessions for an international sporting body rather than actually addressing the issues that everyday Australians are facing, whether that be fuel prices skyrocketing, having childcare deserts in my home state of Western Australia, our government pushing us towards an illegal war, and the cost of living just remaining completely unbearable, where parents are having to choose between paying bills, buying groceries, paying for their mortgage and putting a roof over their kids' heads. And the priority of the government is to give tax breaks to World Rugby. I don't understand the rationale. I have no idea why this decision was made. Another issue I've got is the lack of transparency that we're seeing when it comes to the financial impact. The explanatory memorandum fails to estimate the cost to the budget. Instead, it uses vague language such as significant or unquantifiable. I mean, come on, that's simply not good enough. Senators are being asked to vote on a legislation without knowing how much it will cost taxpayers. Again, this isn't an isolated situation or an isolated case. We've seen it time and time again, and it's become a pattern of the government where it proposes bills before the Senate without any clear financial disclosure. And that impacts our role here as senators. Our job is to scrutinise legislation very carefully, and that job becomes extremely difficult when the financial implications are hidden by the government behind specific vague wording. Now, transparency is literally the bare minimum standard that our parliament should adhere to, and Australians deserve to know, what decisions are being made, who it benefits, and what the cost is to the public purse. So that's why I move the second reading amendment circulated in my name, and the amendment does three very simple things. It expresses concern that during a cost of living crisis, the government's priority includes tax breaks for World Rugby. It notes the explanatory memorandum does not estimate the budget impact of these measures, and it calls out the growing practice of hiding costs behind vague language, leaving the Senate in the dark. Now, this amendment does not block the bill. It simply asks the Parliament to acknowledge the problem of transparency that many across the crossbench, the coalition, have been raising time and time again. If the government believes these tax exemptions are justified, then it should have no problems, showing us the costs and being upfront about the costs. Good policy requires good scrutiny, and we cannot have good scrutiny without, honest information at the table for everyone to see, because that's the least that we can provide to the Australian people, and that's what they expect from us, because they've sent us here to make sure that we've crossed our T's and dotted our I's. Thank you, Acting Deputy.